The next morning, I made a promise to myself. No more emotional decisions. No more waiting for motivation. From that day forward, I would treat my life like a business. I took a notebook and wrote 3 things. Improve skills. Build discipline. Never quit early again. That became my new mindset. I started waking up at 5 a.m. every morning. Not because it looked cool online. Because I was desperate. While the city slept, I worked. I studied successful creators for hours. I noticed something important. The best editors were not just cutting videos. They were telling stories. Emotion. Music. Timing. Tension. Every second mattered. That realization changed the way I edited forever. Instead of making random flashy videos, I started learning storytelling. How to create suspense. How to make viewers feel emotion. How to hold attention until the last second. Slowly, my work became better. Much better. One day, I decided to post my edits online instead of waiting for clients. At first, nobody cared. 10 views. 20 views. Sometimes 0. But I kept posting. Every single day. Most people quit when they see no results. I almost did too. But this time, something was different. I finally understood that success was not one big moment. It was small actions repeated daily. Weeks passed. Then one night, while eating cheap noodles at my desk, my phone suddenly exploded with notifications. I froze. One of my videos had gone viral. 50,000 views. Then 100,000. Then more. I kept refreshing the screen again and again, unable to believe it. Comments started flooding in. This editing is amazing. Who made this? I need an editor like this. My hands were shaking. For months, nobody noticed me. And now thousands of people were watching my work. That single video changed everything. The next morning, I woke up to dozens of messages from potential clients. Real clients. Serious clients. For the first time in my life, opportunities were chasing me instead of the other way around. I answered every message immediately. I worked harder than ever before. Some days I edited for 16 hours straight. My eyes burned. My back hurt. But I didn't complain. Because this pain felt different. This pain had purpose. Within 2 months, I was making more money online than I ever made at my old job. Not millions. Not luxury car money. But enough to breathe again. Enough to pay rent on time. Enough to buy food without stress. And honestly, that feeling was priceless. One evening, I opened my fridge and realized something strange. It was full. I stood there silently for a few seconds staring at the food. Most people would never understand that moment. But for me, it meant progress. Real progress. I was no longer surviving day by day. I was finally moving forward. But life was about to teach me another lesson. Because making money and building real wealth were 2 completely different things. For the first time in my life, money was finally coming in consistently. Every week, new clients arrived. Bigger creators. Bigger projects. Bigger payments. I upgraded my laptop. Bought better headphones. Moved into a cleaner apartment. And honestly, it felt incredible. After years of struggling, I finally felt successful. But success can become dangerous when you are not prepared for it. At first, I told myself I would stay disciplined. I said I would save money, invest wisely, focus on growth. But slowly, my mindset changed. I started buying things I didn't need. Expensive clothes, fancy dinners, a new phone. Not because I truly wanted them, because I wanted to feel important. After being broke for so long, I became addicted to the feeling of finally looking successful. Social media made it worse. Everywhere I looked, people were showing luxury lifestyles. Cars, watches, trips. And without realizing it, I started comparing myself again. One night, I looked at my bank account and smiled proudly. A few months earlier, I could barely afford food. Now I had more money than I had ever seen before. I thought, I made it. That thought became my biggest mistake. Because the moment you think you've made it, you stop growing. Slowly, my discipline disappeared. I woke up later, worked less carefully, started missing deadlines. I even rejected smaller clients because I thought I was too good for them now. My ego quietly took control. And life noticed. Then everything started falling apart again. One major client suddenly stopped working with me. Then another. Then another. My income dropped fast. Very fast. At first, I stayed calm. It's temporary, I told myself. But weeks passed. The money kept disappearing. Meanwhile, my expenses stayed high. That expensive lifestyle I built? Now it was becoming a prison. One evening, I sat at my desk staring at unpaid bills again. It felt horrifying. Not because I was broke. Because I had already escaped this situation once. And now I was falling back into it. The worst part? This time it was my own fault. Nobody else to blame. Not luck. Not society. Not my job. Me. That realization hurt deeply. I looked around my apartment and finally understood something important. Making money does not make you rich. Keeping discipline does. That night, I barely slept. I kept thinking about the person I used to be. The hungry guy in the coffee shop. The guy willing to work all night for $15. That version of me was dangerous. Focused. Disciplined. Hungry. But success had made me comfortable. And comfort was slowly destroying my future. The next morning, I made another decision. A painful one. I sold most of the expensive things I bought. The clothes. The gadgets. Everything unnecessary. Friends thought I was crazy. But I no longer cared about looking rich. I wanted real freedom. Real wealth. And deep inside, I finally understood the difference. After selling almost everything unnecessary, my mind became clear again. For the first time in months, I stopped trying to impress people. And strangely, life became peaceful. I returned to my old routine. Early mornings. Long work hours. Learning every day. But this time, something was different. I was no longer working only for money. I was working to build freedom. That mindset changed everything. Instead of wasting income, I started studying wealthy people carefully. Not the fake influencers online. Real wealthy people. Business owners. Investors. Entrepreneurs. And I noticed a pattern. Most rich people did not depend on one source of income. That idea opened my eyes. At that moment, all my money came from editing videos. If clients disappeared again, my income disappeared too. That was dangerous. So I started thinking bigger. One night, while editing a client's YouTube video, I noticed something interesting. The creator was making huge money from simple storytelling videos. The videos were not complicated. No expensive cameras. No luxury studio. Just stories. Emotion. Connection. And millions of views. I sat there staring at the screen thinking, why can't I do this too? That idea changed my life forever. The next week, I created my own YouTube channel. At first, I was terrified. What if nobody watched? What if people laughed? What if I failed publicly? But I uploaded anyway. My first videos barely got views. 10 views. 30 views. Sometimes less. But unlike before, I understood something important now. Success online rewards consistency, not emotions. So I kept posting. Again. And again. And again. Late nights became normal again. I wrote scripts after midnight. Edited until sunrise. Studied audience psychology. Learned how thumbnails worked. Learned how hooks kept viewers watching. Every video taught me something. Months passed slowly. Then one evening, everything changed. One of my storytelling videos exploded. 100,000 views. 500,000. Then over 1 million. I could barely breathe while watching the numbers rise. Comments flooded the screen. People connected emotionally with the story. Some said the video inspired them. Others said it gave them hope. For the first time in my life, I realized something powerful. Skills can make money, but storytelling can build influence. And influence can build a fortune. Soon, the channel started generating real income. Ad revenue, clients, brand deals, opportunities. Money began coming from multiple directions at once. But this time, I stayed disciplined. No showing off. No fake luxury. No wasting money trying to impress strangers. Instead, I invested. I learned about business, savings, assets, long-term thinking. Slowly, my life transformed completely. Not overnight. Not magically. Step by step. Decision by decision. Discipline by discipline. And one day, while sitting in my new office, I opened my old notebook from years ago. Inside it was the sentence I wrote in that cold apartment. My life will change, no matter how long it takes. I stared at those words silently for a long time, because now, they were finally true. 2 years later, I became a millionaire. Even now, saying those words feels unreal. Not because of the money, because I still remember the person I used to be. The guy sitting alone in a coffee shop with a broken laptop. The guy counting coins for dinner. The guy who almost gave up. Sometimes, I think about him often. Because honestly, that version of me built everything. People usually imagine success as one magical moment. A huge opportunity. A lucky break. A sudden transformation. But the truth is much simpler. My life changed because of small decisions repeated every single day. Learning instead of complaining. Working instead of making excuses. Staying disciplined when nobody was watching. That was the real secret. Not motivation. Not luck. Discipline. One evening, I visited the same old coffee shop where my journey began. The place looked exactly the same. Same tables. Same windows. Same quiet atmosphere. I sat in the corner where I used to study for hours. And suddenly, memories flooded my mind. The fear. The hunger. The uncertainty. Back then, I thought money would solve everything. But after reaching success, I learned something surprising. Money does not change who you are. It reveals who you are. If you are disciplined while broke, you will become powerful with money. If you are careless while broke, more money will only create bigger problems. That lesson changed my entire perspective. Over time, people started asking me the same question again and again. How did you become a millionaire from zero? At first, I talked about business, skills, YouTube, editing. But later, I realized those things were only tools. The real transformation happened much earlier. It happened the moment I stopped seeing myself as a victim. The moment I accepted responsibility for my future. That was the true beginning of my success. Because once your mindset changes, your actions begin to change too. And eventually, your entire life follows. One night, while looking at the city lights from my apartment window, I thought about how close I came to quitting. If I had stopped during those painful nights, none of this would exist. No business. No freedom. No success. That realization humbled me deeply. Success is often much closer than people think. Most people quit before life finally changes. That is why they never see what was waiting for them. Today, my life is completely different. But one thing never changed. I still work hard. I still learn every day. And I still remember the pain of having nothing. Because pain can become fuel, if you refuse to let it destroy you. So if you are watching this while struggling right now, listen carefully. Your current situation does not decide your future. Your habits do. Your mindset does. Your discipline does. You do not need to become successful overnight. You just need to refuse to quit. Because sometimes, the person with nothing becomes the person nobody can stop. Thank you for being part of this journey. If this story inspired you, subscribe for more motivational stories like this. And leave a like if you believe hard work still matters. Remember this. Success does not belong to the smartest people. It belongs to the people who refuse to quit. See you in the next story. One day, this channel will be big. And you'll remember, you were here early.